They built an empire with their bare hands and then tore it apart over politics, power, and betrayal. But before we dive into this insane true story of the two Nazi brothers behind Adidas and Puma, hit that subscribe button, tap the bell so you don't miss wild stories like this. Drop a like to let the algorithm know you're here for it. What if I told you the founders of Adidas and Puma were once inseparable brothers who went from working side by side to never speaking again? Add in Nazi affiliations, a town torn apart, and a sneaker war that shook the world. We're unraveling the explosive feud of Adolf and Rudolf Dassler, the brothers who built two of the biggest shoe empires the world has ever seen. Let's get into it. Let's begin with where it all started. Two brothers, one war-torn town, and a laundry shed that would unknowingly give birth to two global empires. Before Adidas and Puma ruled the sportswear world, their story began with war, poverty, and a crumbling laundry shed. And if you think family business sounds wholesome, just wait. This is where it all started. In 1898, Rudolf Dassler, nicknamed Rudy, was born into a poor family in a small German town. Just 2 years later, his younger brother Adolf, Adi, was born. Their childhood was anything but easy. The boys lived in Herzogenaurach, a town known for its shoe factories. Their father worked in one, but his wages weren't enough to support the family. Therefore, their mother ran a small laundry business, and it was Rudy and Addie's job to deliver clean clothes around town. That's how they earned their nickname, the Laundry Boys. But everything changed when World War I broke out. Both brothers were drafted, and when they returned, the laundry business and the German economy was in ruins. If Addie had followed a traditional path, the story might have ended there. But instead, he had a vision to build specialized athletic shoes for runners, something that didn't yet exist. He had no money, no materials, and no electricity. So he improvised, scavenging leather from old battlefields and powering his tools, using a bicycle rigged to a friend's pedaling. The shoes were rough but innovative, and if they could scale the business, it might save the family. Rudy soon joined Addie, bringing sales charm to Addie's technical genius. In 1924, they launched the Dassler Brothers Sports Shoe Factory. They were a perfect team, until ambition, war, and pride would tear them apart. Let's talk about the moment that took the Dassler brothers from local shoemakers to a global spotlight, thanks to Hitler, the Olympics, and a bold move that shocked the world. The Nazi Olympics. By the early 1930s, Rudy Dassler was hustling hard, pitching their shoes to every sports club in Germany. Sales soared, allowing the brothers to upgrade from their mother's laundry shed to a full-blown factory. Therefore, with better tools and more workers, they expanded into football boots just as the sport was exploding across the country. But everything changed when Hitler rose to power. The Nazi regime aggressively promoted fitness and nationalism, and sports became a political tool. Demand for athletic gear skyrocketed, and the Dassler brothers were there to meet it. They both joined the Nazi Party, perhaps out of necessity, though evidence suggests they were true believers, especially Rudy. If they had simply played it safe, their brand might have stayed local. But in 1936, as Germany hosted the Olympic Games, Addie took a huge risk. He approached Jesse Owens, a Black American athlete, an icon the Nazis despised, and gave him a pair of Dassler running shoes. Owens wore them proudly and went on to win 4 gold medals, humiliating Hitler and turning the Dassler name into a global sensation. Therefore, the brothers began receiving international orders overnight. On the surface, business was booming. But if you look closely, the Olympic triumph also planted the first seeds of a bitter sibling rivalry, one that fame, war, and pride would only make worse. If betrayal could break blood, this is the moment it did. Step into the chapter where brotherhood shattered, and 2 global giants were born from pure resentment. Therefore, before the 1970 World Cup, Horst and Armin made a secret agreement. One athlete would be completely off limits: Pelé. Pelé wasn't just a footballer, he was the king of the sport. Getting him to wear your boots could redefine a brand forever. But they knew if either of them tried, the other would just offer more, until both lost. The pact was clear. Pelé was untouchable. Then came the quarterfinal. Millions of eyes locked onto their screens. Pelé walked to midfield, smiled, then knelt down, and slowly tied his Puma boots. A masterstroke, a silent global commercial. Puma had signed him in secret. Adidas was stunned. Horst was furious. The Pelé pact was shattered. And the feud reignited. Meanwhile, Rudy lay dying. Adi refused to visit. When the funeral came, he didn't show. Years later, Adi passed too. They were buried in the same town, but on opposite ends of the cemetery, a final symbolic line drawn between two brothers who could never reconcile. If the brothers had worked together instead of against each other, the world's biggest sports empire might have worn a different logo. When Adi and Rudi Dassler passed away, they left behind two empires and a bitter legacy. Their sons, Horst at Adidas and Armin at Puma, struggled to lead. Horst focused on celebrity deals and overspending Puma, but in chasing dominance, he forgot the core customer. Armin, meanwhile, tried scaling Puma to Adidas's size but sacrificed product quality in the process. Therefore, by 1989, both brands were sinking and nearing bankruptcy. Control shifted to private investors. While Adidas and Puma battled each other, a quiet force rose: Nike, who overtook them both by the 1990s. Then came a turning point. In 1993, Swiss billionaire Robert Louis Dreyfus bought Adidas. His vision: make Adidas cool again without losing its soul. He created the Predator boot, signed stars like Beckham, Kobe, Agassi, and in 2013 launched Yeezy with Kanye West, turning Adidas into a billion-dollar lifestyle icon. Puma, meanwhile, was revived by Jochen Seitz, a young German executive. He kept the products sharp and leaned into niche markets like Formula One, fashion, and pop culture. By the mid-2000s, Puma was a billion-dollar brand again, the number 3 in global sportswear, right behind Adidas and Nike. In 2009, the feud finally ended symbolically. Adidas and Puma employees played a friendly match in the brothers' hometown. The CEOs shook hands. But even now, their factories sit on opposite sides of the river. A silent reminder of how a family rivalry reshaped the world of sport. In the end, the story of Adidas and Puma isn't just about shoes. It's about two brothers who built an empire, then let pride and ego tear it apart. Their feud divided a town, reshaped global sports, and gave birth to some of the most iconic brands in history. But while they may never have reconciled, their rivalry fueled a level of innovation the world had never seen. And now, long after their final breath, millions of people lace up their shoes every day, never realizing they're stepping into the legacy of a family war that changed everything. The Dassler brothers are gone, but their story lives on. In every field, every court, every track. If Adi and Rudi had stayed united, do you think they could have beaten Nike? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button, subscribe for more legendary business stories, and hit the bell so you never miss what's next. And of course, share this with someone who still thinks a pair of shoes is just a pair of shoes.